Hi everyone. All right. Go to full screen here. Yeah. It's gonna let me? There you go. We went to full screen. Excuse me. How's everyone doing? Just a little bit dark. I think it's okay. Nice to see you, MJ, here. I'm in the project studio here in my home. Thanks, bud. Oh, cool. So taking the wife to the airport, that means you're hanging out by yourself? Stag time, huh? I had to re-log into Streamlabs, and it looks like my chat box is a little bit different. Wonder what's going on. I don't have my other device, so I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at Periscope. But how's everybody doing? Just doing my usual Thursday night check-in. We have some teachers, you know, the only blended scotch that I drink. It's Teachers Irish Cream. There you go. And we have our sponsors, iVideo.com, TaiwanLive.tv tonight. Whoa, 1 degree. Hey Ken, how you doing? Fist bump to both you gentlemen. No, I guess it's the same. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just hallucinating. How you doing? Yeah, nice review today, Ken. That was cool. Appreciate it. Always like your coffee reviews. Let me move the camera down a little bit. I don't want it, not to show you my gut, but I think I got a little too much headroom. There we go. There we go. Got the lights on the console for you tonight. Just playing some tracks on the digital recorder. There's a problem with the actual meter bridge channel-wise. I gotta open it up. You can flip the console up and take the bottom off and look at the jumpers. They're configurable, but I think jumper fell off because the channel meters don't work, but the meter bridge obviously does work. All right, the meter bridge obviously does work because it's, you know, it's working there for the mix. I like these because they're LED simulations, you know, of the old needles, which you know, that's how I cut my teeth in audio. But let me say this: our sponsor tonight is iVideo.com.tw. They are providing our Wi-Fi box, which we're using here in the studio. We are actually connected to the internet through a mobile connection through their portable Wi-Fi box that you can rent. And for those of you who are viewing on YouTube or even on Periscope later, go to the YouTube channel, Taiwan Live TV. Look in the description and you'll find a 10% discount code that you can use every time you rent one of their products. And they got internet access for all over the world. It's amazing. They even have SIM cards and Wi-Fi boxes that you can use all over Europe and all over Asia, so it's great. TaiwanLive.tv, website I almost never update, but the late night show, you can look at the menu and pull down, look at the late night show. There's a QR code for the late night show, and yeah. Now, if anybody has seen Henry, please tell him hi. Must be busy. Please tell him to join us and participate because we miss him. He's a good guy. All right, so what's on your mind tonight? I have been watching way too many videos. Good evening, Casper. How are you, Casper? The most recent Taiwanese citizen. Eric, how you doing? Welcome on Periscope. How's it going? So far, we don't have any trolls on Periscope, but that could change. Now, yeah. Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, Casper, you know, we got to make a date to come up here. I want to play these tracks. You know, Casper was really instrumental in helping me set up my studio because he procured a vital piece of equipment, the 32-track digital recorder, from the Netherlands. He got it for me, shipped it to me. It was like the easiest transaction I ever did. It was amazing. We just did it on PayPal, so that was cool. Eric, nice to have you with us. This here, you haven't seen this, Casper. This is a collector's item. They only made it for 2 years. This is a Brian May special amp. The last stream that I did from the studio, I used the Brian May guitar up there on the wall, and I noodled around, played a little bit for you guys, but it was fun. But that thing gets a really, really nice, super mid-range tone. It's great. So I have my my piping. Okay, I might take you up on that. Actually, I'm looking for some microphones from Europe. I've got some piping attached to the ceiling, and I'm using it for like a temporary vocal booth. I can clip. I've got a V-shaped pipe. It's actually a V-shaped arrangement, and it connects, you know, to the ceiling. So if you can imagine a V and then elbows going to the ceiling. Hope I can describe that. What I do is I have an old quilt. My wife has this old quilt. It's got, you know, fur balls on it. It's really thick. It's nasty looking. She's like, I want to get rid of this thing. I'm like, no, it's perfect. It's a soft mass. It's exactly what I need to absorb reflections. So I hang it on this V-shaped thing. It forms a vocal booth. I can stand in front with a microphone in front of me and sing, and it's incredible. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at doing with that. I also have a green screen hanger on the other side, and Casper will see that when he comes here. I can spread the green screen out. It's 280 centimeters wide, so it's about, oh, what's that? 3 meters? Yeah, it's good. It's like 8 feet, at least anyway. So there you go. And the green screen behind me, of course, it's not behind me now. It's over there. And that separates that half of the room. But it also makes a little bit, not much, but a little bit of a difference in the audio reflections. So Casper, when you come here, you can see the Soundcraft Ghost. I'll show you how I have it configured to, hit my tripod, to use as a mic preamp, and also the channels in the line inputs that I could use for equalization, because the equalization and microphone preamplifiers on this console are absolutely legendary, and I run them into line inputs on the 32-track digital recorder. And yeah, I also have everything on a patch bay. Now this behind me, you guys remember Acoustic Research, AR, the company? They had, I don't know what it was, but there's a cooperation between Massachusetts and England, and it says a city in Mass and a city in England. These are vintage, and I've got a monster PAL ramp underneath the console, and these things sound absolutely incredible. Yeah, because I use them for reference because of the detail and the clarity. I've got, you know, flat recording monitors, but when I want to hear something that more representative, I guess, of the real world, without too much coloration, but actually more detail than the recording monitors, I use these guys here, and it's really something. So I'm having fun. I spent all day today in the studio. I spent about about 8 hours in the studio. It's like a full-time job. Cut a lot of tracks. Been working on a tune. It's a really important tune for me, and I had a thumbnail of it. I did some pre-production. I got the sounds that I wanted, and I had some pre-production ideas, but I didn't actually like complete the structure of the song until today. And so I went and cut all the keyboard parts today. And the interesting thing is, because I'm using the digital recorder, it has editing functions for copy and paste. So some of the parts that repeat, yeah, some people say it's cheating, but I mean, I performed them in the beginning anyway. I performed the first, 2 or 3, and I needed another chorus and a verse at the end, so I just copied and pasted it. But like I said, I cut it in the first place. So, but I don't use auto-tune. I don't really have auto-tune capability because I don't use a DAW. I can't stand digital audio workstations. What I want is a digital music workstation, and I gotta have, sorry guys, gotta have faders. Gotta have faders, and DAWs don't have faders. I'm a fader guy. I came from the studio. Now, for those of you who have seen the new Bohemian Rhapsody movie, all those machines, all those consoles that they showed in the movie, yep, they do, yep. But it's because they can't, like, do another take. You know what I'm saying? We'll get that in a second. But all those machines and all those consoles and things that they used in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, I've done sessions on all of those. Like they showed in the studio where they cut Bohemian Rhapsody, the song. That was a 3M79, man. Half my record was done on that. The other half was done on the Studer A80. Anyway, yeah, what it is some of these guys that barely got one take in them, Eric, the engineer hopes he runs enough tape or enough digital, whatever, that he can get, or she can get, a clip that they can copy. In the old days, in the late 70s when they were doing disco, we didn't have drum machines, didn't have computers. So like, you know, everything was based on a kick drum beat, right? So what they would do is engineers would set up perfect miking situation on a kick drum, and they would tell the drummer, okay, this is the speed of the tune, right? They would put a click in the headphones, and they would have the drummer go 2, 3, 4, boom, 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 boom. And they would do that for like 2 minutes. Then they would listen carefully with it and the click, and they would find the 4 most perfect kick drums in a row, and the engineer would cut those, make a tape splice on the 2-track, and fly that into the multi-track as the kick drum for the whole song. Pretty cool. Then the drummer would be playing, and they would not mic the kick drum. They would mic the rest of them. You know, they would mic the toms and the snare and hat and the cymbals. In the meantime, that boom, 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 it was just a tape loop. Pretty cool. Of course, these days, I mean, what's really funny is I've got a Vox 8030 VTXL amp over there that I haven't used in months because I've been using this little thing. But my old drum machine, it's about, well, I've had it. Gosh, I think I got it in 2006. So it's a Roland, they call it a Dr. Rhythm, the DR880, and it has guitar modeling amps in it and bass amps, and it's got effects on guitars, and I am getting some unbelievably hot, like my orange amp on 10 back in the day, like the Vox amp on 10. I've been recording guitars direct without even a mic. I haven't used a mic on a guitar track in weeks. It's I mean, I knew the thing was good, and I used it live some, but I haven't really recorded with it until recently. And this thing has a recording out, because this is the recreation of the Deaky amp that Brian May used for recordings. My favorite drummer, that's a good question. I really like the drummer for Deep Purple, Ian Pace, or Pice, I'm not trying to pronounce it, and I really liked him a lot. Hey Mike, how you doing? All right, fist bump to you too. Fist bump to everybody. Of course, I love Keith Moon because he wasn't a conventional drummer, and I did have the pleasure of seeing him once with The Who. I listened to Who's Next, and he plays drums like somebody that's not a drummer. So, yeah, thanks. There it is. It's really nice. Yep, there she is. He plays like not a drummer. If you listen to Baba O'Reilly, you know, the way he comes in on it and stuff, it's just, it's really great. Now, I have a unorthodox approach to drums. Now, I didn't mean to I mean, I'm in the studio here, but I didn't mean to get into a completely, a recording, engineering, and production discussion. But if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you a little story. Back in well, I think it was well, no, it was late 1994. I just finished a recording session with my first single that I released since 91, and it's called Gotta Keep Dancing. If you go to mjk.asia, you can hear it. We were getting ready to take the master tapes over to another studio to mix. I'm a big believer in tracking rooms and mixing rooms. This is a tracking room. This is not a mixing room. I mean, you can look at the walls, you can tell this is not a mixing room. This is a tracking room. Somebody else is going to mix my stuff in a big, multi-million-dollar studio. Yeah. Well, that's what we did. We tracked in Fleetwood, and we mixed at a place called Squid Hell in the Boston area, and have an API console with automation, flying faders and moving faders. It's a beautiful room and really nice. And I had Vlado Muller do the mastering. Mastering, I think, is very underrated, and a lot of new bands don't do it, and they wonder why their records don't sound like records. Well, that's why. You need to pay the money, and you can't just do it in your DAW because you don't know what you're doing. Mastering is a science. That's a whole nother discussion. Anyway, is it really? Okay. Wow. No kidding. I didn't hear that. Wow. Okay. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, they're dropping off, man. And the problem is nobody's replacing them. I mean, seriously, you go to SoundCloud or any of these other, platforms that musicians are recording stuff and it's just like, it's a wasteland. It's the same sound. They're using the same plugins. They don't know what they're doing. See, I don't use plugins because I use the real thing. So, I don't know. Yeah, I know, Dean. Oh, there you go. I don't really listen to heavy metal. My favorite guitar solo is the solo in Bohemian Rhapsody. There we go. We got our first. That's pretty much so. We got our first copy bot tonight. That's burned to the stream. I don't really listen to heavy metal. I know UFO is not heavy metal, but yeah, he was. I used to listen to UFO a lot. Michael Schenker, he's really good. But my favorite guitar solo is Brian May's Bohemian Rhapsody. Just the feel of it, the vibrato, nice and slow, very wide. The 8-gauge strings, yeah, and the little Vox amp. But anyway, getting back to the production, with Gotta Keep Dancing, we were getting ready to go to Squid Hell and bring our master tapes over there. And so I racked them up on the machine, and I'm going on the console. We have an API too, we just didn't have the automation system. And I'm listening to everything, making sure everything's okay, because we're getting ready to go over to the other studio, and I don't want any surprises, just like a last minute check if we got to fix something or resubmix something. And I grouped the drums, because you can group all the faders together on one master fader, and I was doing stop time on and off. And I realized the beginning of the song needed to have stop time. Now, if you go to mjk.asia, because I'm in Asia now, and on the front page is the list of songs, with the player. Play Gotta Keep Dancing, and you'll hear it. I mean, it goes dun 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 dun, silence, dun 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 dun, silence. We didn't used to do that. We recorded it dun 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 with drums. I was doing stop time, and I realized, oh, well, this is what happens with producers sometimes. Anybody that tells you that they don't find things or figure stuff out by accident in the studio is lying. A good proportion of hit records, a lot of it, more than you might think. Okay, Eric, thanks. More than you might think is accidental discoveries. They do something, they hit a wrong chord or something, and whoa, look at that. Even Bill Doggett with his famous song called Whoops, because the guitar player Floyd did something in the studio and he went whoops, and they caught it on the on the mic. All right, now I talked with Danny. He's a drummer, and we used electronic drums, but he played them. He has a device called a Drum Cat. They re-released it recently. It's a square little thing. It's It's a MIDI controller. And yeah, well, what year was that though? I know No Doubt came out after me, and that's not the same song, and it's not about the same thing. My song is about business, and it was released in 1995. All right. Don't interrupt me with trivialities, please. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good, Mike. So I understand it, because Danny uses a drum cat, right? And we use a sound module, and we have, cymbals and hi-hat on mics. So it's really easy to get a sound. And because, I had the U67s, and I had the Sennheiser 421 for the, what was it, 441? I forget, for the hi-hat. And so everything else was just, we're patching from the sound module. So I said, what do you think about playing the drums again? The song is finished. All the parts are there. All the background vocals, lead guitar, lead vocals, bass, everything else is there. What do you feel about going back and just playing the drum tracks again? Now, it's 24 track. I didn't have enough extra tracks to keep what was there and, record them on new tracks. I said, okay, we're going to blow away the old tracks. We're going to record over them. He said, no problem. I said, okay. So we had a click track and just 2, 3, 4. And to me, the results, yeah, thank you. Well, I'm just using the phone, and the microphone's in the phone. No lab or anything like that. I'm not using, the broadcasting software or the interface or not. It's just my phone. But thanks. Restream does a great job. Restream.io. So, in my opinion, the end result was amazing. He actually was able to play around things. And so I started to realize that, see, most bands, they do a bed, and you'll hear like Brian May talks about, because there's 2 videos about the recording of Bohemian Rhapsody. One is Roy Thomas Baker as he goes track by track. There's another one by Brian May. I forget what it's called. Inside the Rhapsody or something. It was a 3-parter. It's Brian May in his home studio. He goes track by track and talks about it. But they talk about the bed tracks. The bed tracks are always they're like guide tracks. They're usually drums, bass, and something else, either piano or guitar, and often with a vocal. The vocal is usually a throwaway. It's usually somebody, just a mic in the room, and it's just, say, okay, now we're going to go to the chorus, and here it is, and they sing the chorus and like that. Which, as a side note, after Karen Carpenter died, they found some tapes that were never finished, and the only thing they had on it was her guide track, but it was in a booth, and her guide tracks are better than almost anybody else's finished tracks. They said all they would have done was double them. It was incredible listening to that. Anyway, so, but I started to realize that how can you make a bed for a song and settle on drum tracks when nothing else exists? You might be doing something that may interfere with a vocal section that has yet to be recorded. Now, for bands, it's not such a big problem because they play together. They play the songs live, and they try it out, then they go in the studio. But for me, I'm a recording artist. I'm a solo artist. Everything I do is an overdub. All I do is I start, I start with like a single drum pattern. I might program an intro. That's about it. But I have the same repeating pattern over and over, and it's MIDI synchronized. All it is a guide track. I don't write the drum program until later. Songs that I have written the drum program for and have recorded them, I always end up rewriting the program and tweaking it and re-recording them. So I don't do that anymore. That's what I do. I do the drums last. There's another song called Maybe You'll See on that whole group on mjk.asia. And they're little cymbal things, these little ride things that he did on drums that go around the vocal track, and couldn't have done it until the vocal track was there. So how they handle mess ups. Okay. Well, there's a process called punching in. In the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, they had the M79. Now, I heard the Otari MTR90 is good. I only use the MTR90 in a studio for mixing. I never actually, well, no, I did use it for recording once, but I didn't do many overdubs on it or punch-ins. But the M79, in my opinion, is one of the fastest machines in the world for punching in. What it does is the machine plays everything back in sync. And then when you come to the part where there's the clam, you just go into record over it, and then go out of record. It's amazing. Punching in, punching out. And then M79 was fast. It was incredibly fast. I have punched syllables where the singer went, and that was it. That's all I got. And so it's just a matter of fingers. But what it is you kind of have to be a musician. It's no secret that the best engineers and producers play something. They've got some kind of musical ability. They got timing and rhythm because they got to be able to match those things. Yeah, thanks. But you got to do it at an impulse point. As a guitar player, I know like there's a pick stroke if you're looking at it in slow motion, and then you would go like punch, boom. You see like that, like when you're getting ready to do a high impulse punch, right? And so like with a voice, you want to do it like right before, any way the wind blows, like that, so you right before there's a impulse, so it masks it. And with modern digital recording, you can undo it, but in the old days you couldn't. So if you goofed it up, sometimes you have what's called a punch mark. You have a little mark where maybe the singer didn't sing it exactly the same way, and there's a tail or something left when you punch out. And so now you have to do another punch, but you have to punch longer. Now I've gotten in a situation with analog tape where I started out punching in a little section and it didn't work. For whatever reason, either I blew it or the performer played it differently, and all of a sudden now I got to go like this. But wait a minute, now there's too many punch marks at the beginning. Every time you hit the machine, it's, and nobody's perfect. The digital machines, you can actually choose the frame or a tenth of a frame and have it auto punch in. That we didn't have back then. You're still using your fingers and your ear, and you're going 2, 3, 4, boom, right? It's kind of like kung fu. So now you're going longer on the tail to clean it, but now maybe you have to come in earlier so you get a clean punch. And I have, unfortunately, just the nature of it, and all engineers and producers have run into this, where you just destroy the track. And you say, look, man, let's just take it from the top. And as the engineer and as a producer, you have to give that performer the confidence. You can do this, man. You've been doing the punch-in and over. You did the punch-in 25 times. Just take it from the top. It'll be clean. Just relax. You got it. And almost every case, they just do it. Now, Tony Vaughn, if you look on my website, mjk.asia, and you look in the photo section, there's a section of me and Tony Vaughn. I'm sitting off to the side. I got my hand on the remote control. It's pretty funny. You can see it. That's the remote control for the Studer A80. We switched multi-track machines later on. And Tony's got his sheet music and his bass, and he's playing. And every once in a while, Tony is almost perfect. He's one of the most phenomenal bass players in the world, and certainly one of the best bass players I've ever even seen, let alone worked with. And he did a lot of stuff on many of my records. He would occasionally make a mistake, but often he would say, I want to do something different. It wasn't that he made a mistake, it's that he wants to try an alternative version. Now, you could use another track, and you could, play with that in the mix. Now, the digital recorders have virtual tracks, so you can do that. So Well, let me get back to Napster in just a second. It's a big debate. I come from the old school, you know, but I don't knock digital either because digital's super clean. But here's what used to happen with Tony. Tony would be playing, and he's just so good. And when he was into his thing and playing, I would miss the punch. I'm over there looking at him just in awe, and he would be like, "Gonna take it, man?" I'm like, "Oh, let me roll it back. Sorry." That happened dozens of times. I'm just watching the guy over there. He's just incredible. Yeah, Napster, whatever you want about it. Napster actually created the digital download market. They created the market for downloadable music. We would not be doing what we're doing with iTunes and everything else, downloadable digital music, without Napster. So even though they were a scourge, you know, to the record companies, and they had to be shut down. Of course, I don't know what's going on with them now. They actually did everybody a favor. Now, the reason I have this console, I'm not using this console for mixing tracks. I'm using this console to run stuff through it to make it sound warm and analog, especially microphones. Like a large diaphragm condenser microphone with, phantom power. These microphone preamps, legendary preamps, incredible EQ. Then I send it to the digital recorder. I slam this thing. The red lights are on, it's blinking, you know? But not there. Recorded at -12. But here it's like +4. That's how you do it. People say digital is too clean. I know what they're talking about. I record at 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. CDs are 16-bit, 44.1. And you have to use noise shape dithering to make to fake it out so it's a little quieter in the lower passages. But all in all, 16 by 44.1 is not bad. It sounds pretty good. That's what we all used. And, you got somebody in the subway, and they got their earbuds in, and they got cranked up, and they're hearing, the brakes squeak, and, babies crying and stuff. Doesn't really matter. 24 by 48 is, UHQ, and it enables me to do whatever else that I need. But I record it at like -12 to give me headroom. See, the thing that we have with digital is an extremely quiet noise floor. It's down 90, 95 dB. So even -12 is like a huge distance from the noise floor. But with analog tape, I used to listen to the meters click on the API console. That's how I knew my drums were hot enough. The guy would do a roll on the tom toms, and the meters would like that, right? Because we're hitting the tape at +4, and that way we know that we're as far above the noise floor as we can get. Plus, analog tape always sounds great when it's saturated. There's just something about it. And listening to those old tapes, even today, even Brian May was saying this, and other older artists, from that era, have been talking about how good the analog recordings were in those days on the analog tape, just how fantastic they were. The spectrum is incredible, the dynamic range is incredible. But it took, $20 million to do it. And a football field sized, console. You look at that video on YouTube with welcome back, Eric. Thanks. Hey, on YouTube. Welcome to YouTube. You look at that video with Roy Thomas Baker talking at EMI Studios talking about Bohemian Rhapsody. What's really cool is there's an engineer behind him with a computer screen and a DAW. They've taken all those tapes and dubbed them down to hard disk. But he's on a big console, and he was saying that, you know, it was me, Freddie, and another engineer. It's 3 guys on the console. They didn't have automation that day, so they did. Bohemian Rhapsody was a manual mix, believe it or not. It's pretty incredible. They probably did 4 or 5 and picked the best one. Who knows? Maybe they even spliced it. We used to do that. You know, we want the chorus from this mix, and we want the verse from that mix. We want the intro from that mix, and then it's kind of a nightmare. You got reels of tape everywhere, and little you know, grease pencil marks on the reel flanges and stuff. Anyway, so what I try to do is a combination of digital and analog. I'm recording on a digital medium, but I'm recording very, very, very analog sounds. And I took my drum machine and processed it through the Ghost console, brought it back into the digital recorder, and it was just... I don't know what... Oh, I think that's Portuguese. Yeah, good evening. Yes. Yeah, I think that's Portuguese. Sorry. I know how to say buenos tardes, but here it's buenos noches. Actually, it's buenos dias because it's 12:30 a.m. here in Taiwan. So it's the morning, the next day. Let me say this. I'm in the future. You're going to have a good day because I've already seen it. Yeah. So here we are. Our friend Dave is missing because I think he's it's late where he lives in Japan. Thank you. See you next time, Ken. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have a nice afternoon there in Texas. And enjoy the weather that's hotter than it is in Chicago. My friend was in Chicago. He sent me a video. It's really funny. He did a slow motion. Took a bucket of water and threw it in the air, and it instantly froze and came down. It was really, really amazing. Dean, how are you? I said hi to you earlier. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah, I know you're in. Nice to see you. Welcome to everyone on Periscope and also on Africa TV. I don't know how many viewers are on Africa, and I have no idea how many are on Periscope because I don't have my second device, but we did have a copy bot earlier, but they left, so I bet it is. What's the temperature there, Eric? Here today was about, I'm going to say about 21. Yeah, let me see if I can see what the temperature is. No, I can't see the thermometer right now, but it's in here. It's warm enough. It's about 23, which is pretty nice. Got my short sleeve shirt. I got my batik on, like one. Okay, so that, yeah, so okay, that's pretty cold in Celsius. Takahaksa, I think you're saying hi, hello. Right. So those of you on Periscope that have moderation capability, we might need that. So, okay, good. All right. Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to have you with us. Whoa. Well, skin freezes really quick. You know? In that case, skin freezes really, really quick. I changed strings on the Brian May today. I got really upset because a couple of the strings broke when I was changing them. Because, you know, sometimes out of the package they do that. Yeah, it is crazy. And I had to use alternative strings, and they're a little bit, I have a micrometer, you know, a Mitutoyo caliper, a digital caliper. And I was looking at it, and it was, well, the gauges are a little bit off. So I'll be playing, and all of a sudden one string is like, whoa, it's like really loose, and then the other ones are, you know. Well, for years on the road, I used 10s. When I was always on the road because of adrenaline, I can't use 9s, I use 10s. And then in my old age, I got lazy one day. I actually bought a Strat, And Eric, you know which guitar I'm talking about. And I put 9s on it because the tension on the Stratocaster is higher than on the Gibsons because of the the scale. And I've been using the Epiphone, right? And the Epiphone I got, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's on the wall over here. It's the same scale as a Brian May. It's like within 1/4 of an inch difference. It's really close. And that's why when I got the Brian May, I was really shocked as to why I liked it so much. And then I put them together on the guitar stands and I went, oh, that's why they're the same size. 9s, vibrato's way too fast. And, so I put, I went back to 10s about 6 months ago, and it was a painful first couple of weeks, but I'm really, really glad that I went back to 10s. Much more control. They stay in tune. It's louder. Yeah. I mean, Stevie Ray used 11s, and he had a really wide, beautiful vibrato, but I get the feeling that if he didn't have that resistance pushing back on him, that he would be out of control. Now, the opposite. You listen to Brian May's solos on Killer Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody in particular. He has so much control, but those are 8s, but his vibrato is like so wide. Really, really wide. If I play 8s, I got the wide vibrato, but it's like fast as the bumblebee because I got nothing pushing against my fingers. I don't know if it's a difference in strength or just a difference in control or whatever. So yep. Fortunately for me, though, I didn't have to change the intonation, didn't have to change the truss rod, but I did have to change the tailpiece on it, because this has a tailpiece and it has the 3 spring, kind of like the Strat arrangement in this one. This one doesn't have the same, like the roller bridge. So, yeah. My old Epiphone I had set up years and years and years and years ago with the Leo Kwan, they call it the Badass Bridge. I don't name them. I had it set up, with the BA, and it used really great. It was really great. No, Cobalt strings are available now. They are. I don't use them because they're not that bright. I like stainless steel. I like the brightest ones you can get, especially with that, because that ringing sound. Some of the bronze ones that I use are pretty bright, but I tend towards the brighter ones. I've researched all of them. Actually, I downloaded the string gauge from Diodario and looked at string tensions and formulations, and I looked at their frequency charts and all that stuff. So yeah, nickel's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, nickel and bronze, yeah. Anyway, this guitar I had set up years ago for 10s. I put 9s on it. It was fine. Didn't make any adjustments. I haven't done anything to that guitar since the 70s. I had the frets dressed in the 70s. I haven't touched it. Haven't touched the truss rod since like 1979, I bet. I personally don't think I've ever touched the truss rod on that guitar. But I had the luthier, David Shepard in Greensboro, North Carolina, dressed the frets back in 79. Back in those days, it was $50, man. Perfect leveling job. But yeah, I just, yeah, a lot of them do because it gets abused. But I put the 10s on it, no problem. Worked fine. Intonation's great. This guitar tunes better than any guitar that I've ever had, but because of the Leo Kwan. The stop tailpiece that came with it when I bought it was terrible. I was in Tennessee and I was playing some shows, and it was just terrible. Put it in the guitar shop for a day. He put the BA on it, the Leo Kwan bridge, and it came out, and it was perfect. I haven't touched it since. I put Gliptol on all the screws. They don't back out. That guitar tunes up perfectly. When it starts getting out of tune, it's time to change strings. But what you're saying, Mike, it depends on the artist, on the genre, how hard they hit it. If you're using a coin, or something else like a bow or something that's tearing up the strings, you got to change them, frequently. But anyway, that's what they make guitar techs for. I always got my lips burning. I got my lip balm. It almost said gloss. Lip balm here. But that guitar, the 1964 Epiphone Olympic Melody Maker style, is like, strings on that are about 2.5, maybe 3 months old, maybe, I don't know. Still, really good tune. Fantastic. Plays nice, plays like a dream. No dead spots, no buzzes. It's incredible. This guitar, though, I've had it refretted twice. I got to put it back in the shop because there's one fret that's giving me trouble. It's a little bit high, and I can't fret behind it. It doesn't differentiate the two. If you want to look at something really cool, Mike, check out Brian May's Rig Rundown. It's done by Guitar Magazine, I think, and they interview Pete Melendrone. And Brian May's Red Special, the real one, is there, plus the replicas that he uses for other tunings. And they show a close-up of the string, and the strings are all chopped up from the coin, but the strings are on the guitar, and the implication is that they're not going to change them for that show. But yeah, Rig Rundown, Brian May's Rig Rundown. Check that out, Mike. I think you'd find that really interesting. He's been using the TC Electronics. I'm a big fan of TC. I have a TC Helicon device. I love it. But yeah, TC Electronics is just really, really great. Fantastic. But it is time for me to sign off. It's getting late here in Taiwan. I got to get some sleep. I got to get up tomorrow. I got a full day in the studio here. Got a lot of activities going on. I'm going to Kaohsiung on Saturday afternoon. I'm going to be in Kaohsiung in the evening, and we're going to be like at one of your favorite places by the riverside. You guys remember that? We'll do another riverside scope there. So thanks, Mike. And hope it wasn't too boring talking about music and stuff, but that's what we're doing right now. I want to get down to Win-Win. She's got the new fried chicken place. It's just too cold tonight. This is not a good time. But as soon as it gets a little bit warmer, I mean, even during the day, sometimes it's been warming up. We'll get a snap. It'll come back. But yeah, we'll get a warm snap, and we'll head down there, and I'll show you what's going on, and we'll order some stuff, and we'll have some fun. So yeah, it is cold. You guys take care. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Dean, Eric, Mike, everyone who joined, all those on Periscope, YouTube, and Africa TV. Want to say thank you. And Sai Chin from Taiwan, you take care. Bye.